What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So somehow WWE 2K20 comes out and it's worse than we originally thought. We had seen some random gameplay floating around where it showed some glitches and it was pretty funny, but it's actually worse. It's amazing how bad this game actually is on release day. Also, we have to talk a little bit about Google Stadia because it seems like all of the pre-orders aren't going to be showing up day and date when it comes out. And then Reggie had a very just a really interesting lecture at Cornell, and he talked quite a bit about some of the history from Nintendo and some little bits of information we did not know until now. So all that and a bunch of other stuff today, guys. As always, enjoy these videos. Make sure to hit that like button. It does help out. And get subscribed so you can stay up to date on all the gaming news going on in the gaming world. We're going to start today with Panzer Dragoon. Now, of course, we know that there is a remake coming to the Switch sometime in the winter. That's all we've really heard about so far. Not much else outside of that. But one thing that I was very curious about, and a lot of other people were as well, will there be some sort of physical copy? Just some way for us to buy it and have it at least preserved. This is a full remake of Panzer Dragoon, so yes, a lot of us would like to have that on a cartridge to put in our collection, as there is a lot of nostalgia at play here, obviously. Well, it looks like that is happening. They tweeted this out here, saying, "Your dreams came true. Panzer Dragoon Remake will receive a physical release. Keep an eye on our social media for more details," which I will, and we'll keep up to date on that. I also saw limited run games kind of interacting with them, making me wonder if they might do like a collector's edition or something. That'd be pretty awesome. But the other question now is, will it come out at the same time as the digital version? As we always see the digital version come out first, and then like a month or two later, the physical copy comes out. And a lot of us don't want to have to wait for the physical copy. We just want to go pick it up or have it pre-ordered, right, with limited run or them or whoever, so that we can get it on release date rather than have to buy the game twice. We also had a new trailer come out for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That's, of course, out in January, so not too much longer. It's going to be like an action RPG that tells the story that we've heard quite a few times, but they're going to throw some bits of new information, some new original stories in there, as well as a new character, and it's looking pretty good. The introduction trailer they put out kind of talked a bit about what they're going for with this game. Now, they do show, of course, action RPG settings where numbers are popping up as they're doing damage, but they do talk a bit about how, because this is like an action RPG, that they can have more story focus there. They'll do things with the enemy characters that feel more overwhelming, just more powerful in general, to kind of retell it as it should be, where obviously Raditz in the beginning just outclasses Goku and Piccolo, so you feel that as you're playing. They also say that there will be no invisible walls when you are fighting, so it's going to feel like a very large open battle, and that's really cool. They showed Raditz getting knocked through a bunch of mountains with, again, numbers popping up. I guess as you level up, they'll get larger, of course. So far, you know what, I'm liking what I'm seeing here, and I'm hoping it comes out and it's good. I hope there's a lot of fun storylines that they decide to tell in this, but the other question is, how long will it be? Will there be replayability to it? So we'll see, though, but it's not too much longer. It's coming out mid-January. Also, if you are a Duke Nukem fan, it looks like that game is coming to the Switch. There was an ESRB rating that was found, and it looks like Duke Nukem, the 20th Anniversary World Tour version, is coming to the Switch according to that rating. And generally, we see an ESRB rating a little bit ahead of when the game is announced, or even sometimes just shadow drop. Now, if you're not familiar with this was released. I remember this one specifically on the PlayStation 4 myself, actually playing it there, but this had the original 4 episodes, and then it had an extra one that was made by the original designers. So I guess if you're a Duke Nukem fan, this is pretty cool to see, unless I guess you've already played it otherwise, but maybe you played it a long time ago and you're thinking you'll jump back into it here. And this isn't necessarily new for the Switch, as we've seen obviously Doom and Turok and some other older games kind of show up here, and for Duke fans, it's probably pretty exciting to see that pop up. And again, it is interesting to see these older games kind of come back like this, and Turok looked great, actually, which is really fun. The first one, second one look really, really good. I don't think they have the online multiplayer figured out yet, but Duke Nukem is Duke Nukem. I'm not saying it's aged particularly well, but people who remember it from back in the day on the PC and everything will probably get a kick out of it if you didn't play it yet when it released on something like the PlayStation 4. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with The Outer Worlds. Now, this, of course, is out Friday. I'm very excited for it because, of course, the original creators of Fallout, they're making this, and that's exciting to see an old school type of Fallout game kind of turn into a newer, like, 3D style. It's it really caught my attention. I think a lot of other people. Of course, it's Obsidian, so let's see what they can do here with this. But the thing that was really, really fun about this is that it's going to kind of appease older fans of the series while mixing in apparently stuff like Mass Effect. Yeah, a lot of the reviews that came out, we have the Metacritic scores you're seeing here, and it did fairly well, 86. But when I was going through some of the reviews just to see what people were saying about it so I can get an idea of what I was going to get into on Friday, a lot of places like Game Informer, for example, pointed out that it's a cross between something like Fallout and Mass Effect, and that sounds amazing. Like that sounds really good. Now, they did point out that some of the ideas in the game maybe didn't age well and it feels archaic at times, but it sounds like, from what I was reading, it's exactly what Fallout fans want from Obsidian when they're making a game like this, and that's probably why it's rated at this point at an 86, and it's exciting to see this. Here's the other good thing. One, it's going to be enhanced for the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, but two, it's going to Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass right now, it's going to pop up there, and you can actually preload it like now. Like, you can just go on there and just get it downloaded right now without having to pre-order or anything. If you already have Game Pass, it's already set up. You just go hit a button and let it download, and it's ready to go on Friday. So I'm really excited for this game. I just wanted to throw this in there because I was really looking forward to it, and I'll probably have some thoughts up. I know I'll have some initial impressions when we do the podcast this weekend, because I'm just going to dive into this game. I kind of have it already kind of cleared off, ready to go, and probably spend quite a few hours on Friday night going into Saturday with Outer Worlds. Next up, let's talk about Reggie at Cornell. Now, Reggie had an entire lecture there talking about leadership and everything, but of course, he had to talk quite a bit about Nintendo, which is where he spent a good bit of his time recently, right, where he retired from. So a lot of those questions came up. A lot of people were asking about it. And from what some people were saying with firsthand knowledge that were actually there, said that he did a really great job working with the crowd and just overall having fun. There were several posts online from people who were there, and it sounds like they will post this online eventually, so you can just sit down and watch it. It's apparently about an hour or so of him talking again about different characteristics with leadership and everything, but a lot of things came up from Nintendo that we didn't really know about. Like, an example, he did talk about Satoru Iwata, and one thing apparently that they disagreed on was that Wii Sports should be packaged in with the Wii. Apparently, Satoru Iwata did not really want that packaged in, whereas apparently Reggie and Nintendo America did want that in there, which is interesting to hear about that one. But yeah, also he talked to original creator about the NES and what they were trying to do, and they just wanted to play Donkey Kong. They wanted a system to play Donkey Kong, and well, we saw how that all turned out, but a ton of stuff was posted up as you're seeing here. We have all kinds of images. There were a few that were posted on Reset Era, and from there, we have quite a few things, including the Wii U. Now, he talked a bit about the Wii U actually being a failure, but a failure forward, specifically because according to Reggie, it did lead to the Switch. And I think most people understand that. He even apparently did the whole thing of, oh, the Wii U failed, but it did eventually lead to and then he kind of motioned to the crowd that was there, and they said the Switch. Yeah, I mean, if you really look at the Wii U, it looks like they kind of wanted to do the Switch, but the technology wasn't quite there yet, so they went with the Wii U. And of course, we had heard that they were developing, or at least thinking about the Switch a long, long time ago, right? But they just couldn't get the idea into motion until Nvidia and their Tegra and everything else is history at this point, with the Switch being as successful as it is. But the Wii U, seemingly from Reggie himself, yes, a failure, but a necessary failure. Also, he was asked about Mother 3. Go figure, right? Even in retirement, he can't escape. You know, I kind of wish he had gone into a bit more detail about that. Apparently, he just said, oh yeah, I can't get away from it even in retirement. I would have preferred to have maybe hear a bit more about that, maybe shed a little bit of light on the mystery, but that could kind of get into some corporate secrets, some inner circle secrets that maybe he didn't want to put out there. Hey, maybe Mother 3 still is coming and he doesn't even want to ruin the surprise. You never know, right? But I did like the lecture that was described. It sounded like he had a lot of fun with the crowd, and for the most part, he kind of just touched on things that were important, and when people asked questions, he answered straight up with them. So apparently Reggie is pretty good at running a lecture. Who'd have thought? He did also talk a bit about the Pokemon Company and them apparently choosing release dates by going back and forth. And then, interestingly enough, Retro Studios was mentioned here because what have they been doing, right? That's what a lot of people are wondering. We know now it's Metroid, but apparently Reggie may have mentioned that Retro Studios kind of has their own control along with Pokemon Company about negotiating release dates. So who knows? Maybe Metroid Prime 4 really will be one of the last games that release on the Switch. And you know what? If Retro Studios has that mindset and they're like, we're going to put a lot of time in this and we're going to make it really, really good, I prefer that's the case anyway, because Metroid Prime needs that game. It needs an amazing game to at least push itself. Since it doesn't sell well in Japan, it has to be this masterpiece, I think, to really get ridiculous sales. Next up, let's talk about WWE 2K20 and how it came out broken, much more broken than we even thought. Like, we saw the glitches, right? And I said, oh, that's going to be funny when that comes out. No, it's bad. Like, if you're spending money on this game, you may want to look towards a refund. This is like worse than WWE 2K18, which is impressive. I'll just show you a bunch of really funny clips. Here's the thing about this. The one thing I like so far about this game is, while I have not bought it and played it, it's fun to search through all the stuff people are posting online. We already saw the character models. We talked about that. But I mean, we have people falling through the ring. We have refs doing some of the craziest stuff. We have people circling like mad inside the ring. I mean, it is insane. I saw a stream when I first checked it out during a midnight release stream that someone was doing, where 6 people were in the ring and it was running like WWE 2K18 does on the Switch. Like, we're talking like, you know, like slow motion. But we have all kinds of stuff, whether it's the game just randomly crashes. Like, for example, if you try to import custom attires on other wrestlers, you get multiple versions of wrestlers just randomly showing up. You have some of the worst looking visuals when it comes to cutscenes and some terrible, terrible dialogue. But overall, the game just doesn't really work. And there is a massive list on Reddit someone made up of all of the issues with the game. And as the day progressed, hashtag fix WWE 2K20 started trending on Twitter, and it seemed to really get rolling with 15 to 16,000 tweets happening all at once. It was something else. It was going crazy online, and it makes you wonder, again, what happened here. The biggest thing we can all take away is that, well, Yuke's seemed to have left like midway through development, and it was kind of up to Visual Concepts to figure it out. What's really weird to me is that they had an interview. This was Visual Concepts, and this is what they said. I think freeing is the first feeling that you get. This was in response to GameSpot about Yuke's and them kind of splitting and Yuke's going off and apparently making their own wrestling game now. When you realize that now that all the ideas that you had and wanted to pursue are now at your fingertips, that's the first feeling you have. And the second one you have is the reality, where that sets in where you're like, oh, now that it's all ours, that means that we have to write the tools and write the systems and actually understand how these things were really put together. Yeah, I think at this point it's pretty obvious Visual Concepts may not have been ready to tackle this by themselves this year. Maybe if they finished up with Yuke's this year and it came out, and it probably would have still been, I mean, let's be honest, it still would have probably been broken in some way, but it probably wouldn't have been this bad. And then if they have all the way until next year to work through it, they might have had a better shot at it. This game, I don't think wrestling games need to be every single year. They just don't. And 2K and Take-Two and WWE, they probably all want this to come out every single year, like, you know, NBA or any of those games. But I don't think wrestling games have to do that. In fact, I think in some cases wrestling games need more time, just because I think there's just a lot more going on in those games. But that's where we are now. And unfortunately, I don't know if 2K is really ever going to get back to being decent at this point. But we can always check for Yuke's. Yuke's might have something cool up their sleeves, although I don't think 2K20 will ever be fixed, to be honest. Actually, no, you know what? They will release a patch. It'll be WWE 2K21. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Google Stadia and just a weird piece of news. Look, Google Stadia is coming out next month in a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna get it. I pre-ordered the day it came out, so I should, or at least the day the pre-orders went up, so I should get it on release day, but not everyone will, even if you pre-ordered it. That's right, it's gonna be a first come, first serve basis, and I really don't feel like this was communicated that well to us, but this was with The Verge. It came out last night, this piece of news, so think about that. We're getting pretty close to launch, and this is when we're finding out. And this is what they had to say. Today, Google tells The Verge that neither set of buyers will necessarily be able to play at 9 a.m. Pacific time on November 19th, the moment that Stadia launches, because Google's shipping out kits in the order they were received, and the new Premier Edition apparently won't have shipped by that date. Google pointed us at its blog post from last week, and sure enough, it technically says that Founders Editions will only start arriving on November 19th, and that you might only get to play starting at 9 a.m. Pacific that day if you're one of the first gamers who pre-ordered. Yeah, it's going out in waves. I don't know why they're not just sending people codes for the coupon basically you're getting for like 3 months of this service, and then you're getting a Chromecast and you're getting a controller. So let's back up for a second here. The only thing that's really custom done for this launch in that pack is the controller. Otherwise, you're getting a code and a Chromecast that already exists and you can just go buy on the Play Store like now. You can already buy that online. That's not really new. The controller apparently is giving Google some issues to get that out on release day. Now, we don't know how long it's going to be. Like, let's say you ordered the Premier Edition. Do you have to wait till December? Is that going to be out right at the end of the month? That's the other issue we're running into. We don't really know when, but the last thing they need is a botched launch. Like, they really, that's the last thing you need. If you already put the money up and it was pre-ordered and you have a release date, it's just a controller is what they're shipping you. Or at least just email people the code. That's what you should do, because then they can at least fire up in their browser and plug in some other controller, I guess. We'll see. I should get mine though. Like I said, I pre-ordered it right away, and if I don't, that's gonna be really annoying. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one's from Glockin95 saying, the one thing that amazes me is that Metal Gear Solid 4 still holds up pretty well, even though it was a PS3 title. That's an interesting one, because that one actually looked pretty realistic, and that's one of the few games that really use the PlayStation 3 to its full potential with the cell processor, and it looks great. In fact, we're actually seeing RCPS3 emulated, and it looks amazing on there. And I actually thought about this. I said, what if that was Bluepoint's game? What if they were doing Metal Gear Solid 4 and they were bringing it to the PS5 and it had like online multiplayer and stuff? That would be pretty cool, I think. That'd be neat to see, because you're right, that is one of the few games that doesn't necessarily have to lean on an art style that is way different than a realistic looking game, that still looks really, really good. So, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing Metal Gear Solid 4 on a newer system. I mean, it's still technically trapped to the PS3, so let's do that. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's WWE 2K20 being badly broken on release day, and what about Google Stadia and their staggered launch, it seems, for their controllers, or even Reggie at Cornell. Was there any really cool bit of information in there that you wanted to go over in the comments? Let me know, guys, down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.